I'm here today to show you my junk journal. It's botanical theme based. There's botanical images from a vintage book, some Edith Holden pages, and also some of my machine embroidery. We'll start with the front cover. This was printed on fabric and then lace put around. The whole book is covered in a upholstery fabric, and it has the corners. I didn't count the pages. I will leave that in the description below. I should have counted them. It is tied together with sari silk, and we'll just get going. So it's a chunky monkey. I'm telling you, it's big. It's big. I'll actually do a quick measurement right now of the cover. The cover is 7 inches wide by 11 inches tall. So it is a big book. And it's also big. You see, this is the top. And that's the sides. So we're going to open it. It's, like I say, it's a chunky monkey. So the first thing I have is an envelope here, which I've added a, if I can get it, it's so tight. I'll have to fix this. It's a little bit too tight. So there's a little bit of journaling in here that you can do. I will repair this, put a new one on, or whatever it takes. This is a botanical image from a book. We turn the page. I've made a little pocket here, like right here. And this is an Edith Holden page, but I've just added a paper clip. I created a pocket on this side. I've used a lot of muslin in this journal, and it's torn. Pages are sewn. Here's the tucks that I've got in there. There's a botanical image. On the back side, it's coffee dyed paper, and it's stitched all the way around by me. And I added some vintage fabric, a little trim, and a bit of lace there. I made these little pockets, and there's a tag in here that you can add anything to that you like. On this side, I left it blank because it has lines. I hope you can see all this really clear. I've added a tab at the top, which is on both sides really. And this one here, I was inspired by a gal on YouTube, and I'll leave her link below. She did these types of pockets, and I really enjoyed it. So I glued on a botanical image there. I've also got a pocket in here. This is an Edith Holden image, and I've added lined paper on the back for you to journal on, which is coffee dyed. There is also this little booklet that you can write in. There's a number of pages there, and I've added some muslin to the top of that. Also another vintage image that just tucks in there. And there's music paper on the back of that. I've added a pansy orchid card, and it tells you all about them here. And this is on coffee dyed paper. I also added the clip with muslin. I did some stenciling here with coffee. I added this word, please, our place I call home, it says. Not sure if you can see that, but that's what it says. And this is one of the first machine embroidery images that I did. Because it's botanical themed, I thought birds would be kind of nice to have. So this just flips up, and you could write in the back underneath, like behind that. And this side is plain. I did some stamping here. Here's a ledger sheet. Again, coffee dyed paper and some stencil with coffee dye. Same here. This is, I forgot to mention back here on some of these pages, what I've done is add muslin to strengthen the pages, which is basically what I've done here, as I've added muslin across the bottom to strengthen this page. And what I've done is add another botanical image on coffee dyed paper, stitched all around. And everything is stitched in white. Here's an envelope that I made, and I created a little booklet that I've stapled where you can journal in there. And that just sits right in that little tuck. Here's another vintage image that I have printed, and I've coffee stained it. I've added this little tuck spot here. I got this idea from a number of people on YouTube, and I will list them in my description below. There's too many to actually list or tell right now. So what I've done is I've added just some paper, some fibers, and some lace. And down here I added an image, a flower, and a button. And in the back I added a postcard. A postcard back here, and this is ephemera. And there's two tuck spots here, one in the back, and one in the middle. And this is an Edith Holden bit of writing that she had in her book that I thought was really nice. So I added this as a little journaling that she'd done. I've also added some lace down here, some fabric, some fibers. And this is also a botanical image, both sides. It's the whole page. That's why this book is big. I didn't want to cut it down. So, and in the middle of this signature, I've added a pocket where I've added a postcard on this side and an image on this side with a little bit of washi tape on either side. I've tucked in a little pink postcard down in here. There's room to tuck a little bit more in there. This I left plain. This one here, lines, journaling. I've added an order blank card, calendula, and it tells you all about those. The little tuck goes here. Again, I've added fabric muslin down on the bottom here to strengthen the page. And on this side, I've added a botanical image. The other side is coffee stained and stitched by me, and also stenciled with coffee, with muslin hanging off the clip. Also on the back side here, I've stenciled with coffee, a ledger, coffee dyed paper. This one here has a corner tuck with a bit of muslin, some lace, some sari silk, an image, and there are threads everywhere. If you don't like them, you can cut them off. This is coffee stained paper on the back, and it just tucks in there like that. This page I left blank, except I've added a little stamping here. This is a coffee dyed paper, and I've added some stencil. Here's a doily stencil that I added that's coffee dyed. And this is the other side of that same pocket. This one is a little bit different. It has the pocket here. It's also reinforced with muslin here so that when it's stitched in the binding, it's strong. And I've added these just for interest. This one here is, of course, Edith Holden, and on the back is my tea-dyed paper, or coffee stained paper, and I've added a little tree. And there's places to jot down notes or journal. This one here is just coffee stained paper. I've also stamped. It has another one of my muslin tops, and this is again part of the Botanical Images that I took from the vintage book. Here it's just lined paper. You can, there's still lots of space to write in here. On this side again is the lined paper. This here is a little tuck that I made, backed with tea-dyed paper and stitched all the way around. It is fabric, and I thought it looked kind of nice right here on the corner. And I've added a little butterfly and a bird in a cage. Here I've added a clip to hold in Edith Holden pages again. Excuse me. So that's the first signature. And this is what the outside signatures look like. It's all Botanical Images. So we go into the second signature. Again, we've got Edith Holden. Edith Holden Images. And again, I have added muslin top and bottom for reinforcement, adding in this pocket. Over here I've added a corner pocket, and I've added the muslin, another piece of fabric, a little bit of lace, some fibers, and a snippet of lace. And this is an Edith Holden page. Inside the pocket, I've put a botanical image lined paper that has been coffee stained, and more paper that's been coffee stained, and somewhere for you to take notes or write. I've added the tab on both sides at the top here. This is just plain, so you can write. And we come back to this kind of pocket again. I've added some images that I've glued down here. The pocket has been all stitched and muslin added to the bottom. And this is an Edith Holden page, and coffee dyed paper on the back, muslin tab with a butterfly, and that just fits in like this. Then I have more coffee dyed paper. All my coffee dyed papers are slightly different in some cases because of the time when I did them. This book took a lot of coffee dyed paper. So, and I added this image as well. Everything has been inked. This is a card, and it tells you all about it in the back. I've coffee stained this and added a clip at the top with muslin. On this side, a little piece that says "Words to Live By." I thought that was nice. And then again, here is my machine embroidered bird. And there is one in each signature. So that lifts up, and that's just plain. So you can add photos or, excuse me, anything you like. This was left plain. I did a little stamping here. This is ledger paper. I coffee stained this through a stencil. Excuse me, I'm going to grab a little bit of water here. I've got a tickle in my throat. So, that's coffee stenciled. And this is coffee dyed. This again is another one of these pockets. And I've got kind of the same thing. We've got an image and lined paper that's been coffee stained, and a envelope that was made by me. It's got a staple in it and more places for you to write. This was a printed vintage image that I did. And on this side, I've created another one of those foldable pockets. It's got lace, some little paper under here, a little bit of a bow that I created with sari silk. Down here I added lace, some muslin, some sari silk, and a button. And there's this with coffee dyed paper on the back. It's been stitched all the way around. And this one here, it says, "Love is a canvas, furnished by nature and embroidered by imagination," by Voltaire. And that's all been inked. And I have forgotten to put something in here, which I will put something in there. Again, we've come to the middle of this signature, and the pocket I made from an envelope has a postcard on this side, an image on this side, and a little postcard inside. And I've added a little bit of washi tape on either side here. This was just stamped. This was just edged a little bit with distress ink. And this is the other side of that pocket. So we have Arabian Violet, which tells you all about it in the back. And a card, "Make each day special." And again, I've added some fabric to the bottom to strengthen it. And another image with stained paper. I've also added stenciling here with coffee. I've stamped here another ledger, another image that's stitched onto coffee dyed paper, and another vintage card. And on here I've added muslin, a little bit of lace, some fabric, and an embroidered piece. This one's plain. This has been stenciled. Again, stenciled with coffee. And this side has a couple of tucks. This is again Edith Holden paper that I've stitched around lined paper. And oh, and it has a feather. I wanted to say a leaf. I don't know why. It's a feather. And that just tucks in there. And then we've got, again, journaling spots here with some muslin sewn across the top. And a little card with birds. You can write on the back. That's all been inked. I stamped here. This is also another botanical image. I'm caught here. Just a second. Oh, there we go. There's a botanical image on the back. And all this writing space here. And again, more writing space. I've added another one of these little fabric corner tucks that's sewn onto coffee dyed paper, and then it's been put on here. And then there's this little card that you can write on that I've tucked in there. It's got a little bit of glitter. I don't know, you probably can't really even see that, but it does. And on the back page here we have another Edith Holden image. These are awesome for little extra tucks. I wanted you to have enough tuck spots to put things. That's the second signature finished. We're going into the third now. And again, we have Edith Holden image. Front and back. And I've just tucked it in with a clip. This side again, we've got Edith Holden paper, some muslin, some fabric, some lace, some sari silk, and again another image, and coffee stained paper that I've stitched onto. And this is more paper to write on, and a tab at the top here. Ooh, you can't hardly see that. I'm going to come down just a little. A tab at the top that's fabric that's been stitched on. All of the tabs at the top have been stitched. Then I stamped on this page. This is another one of those pockets. And this is Edith Holden again. And my stained paper on the back. That just tucks in there. And more writing. I wanted to make sure you had enough places to write. And a little card with flowers on it that's been inked. And this is a vintage card from a box that I got, and it's all about plants. This is Australian pitcher plant, and it's tucked on coffee stained paper and coffee stained stencil with muslin on the top. And here we have a card, and I've done a bit of stenciling here, not very much, just a little wee bit. This card says, "We are fashioned by what we love," and it has some flowers on it. And I'm not going to keep saying that all of my, I'm just going to say all of my clips have muslin attached to them. And this is the next machine embroidery that I did that also lifts up, so it's not infringing on space at all. The back is very plain. I didn't want to fill these pages too much more. I can't get not much more in here. Ledger, I stenciled with coffee. I stamped. This has music paper. Here we have another image again. This is Botanical. This is stained and stitched all the way around. And a little envelope that I made with stapled paper so you can write. This is a vintage ephemera, but it's printed by me. And I've inked it. This side, again, we have the same type of pocket that we've had before. It has two. One in the back. I'll kind of show you this way. One in the back. And then there is another one right here, if you can see that. See? So there's two tucks back here and another tuck in the front here. So I've added a bird, I've added some paper, some muslin, some lace. Down here I've added part of a doily, some lace, a feather, and a button. And this is Edith Holden again, just a little snippet from her journal. And these images go in behind. They have been stitched and dyed on paper. This has been stitched, and it has, actually this was an image that I created a long time ago by hand, and then I scanned it in. So I have these to print over and over. So this is a printed image of the image I did, if that makes sense. And it's been stitched, and it's stitched on coffee dyed paper. And it has a little bit of, what do we call that? Okay. I don't remember what that's called. Anyway, it's like a little tool, whatever. I can't remember what it's called. Is that ever dumb? Okay. So I got a postcard on the back side of this, and another botanical image here, and then I've got a postcard inside, and it is put on coffee dyed paper. And turn the page, we've got plain, we've got some lined paper. Here we start again with this music paper. This is Kaffir Lily, and this is Remember This, and it's inked, ready for you to use. It's fiber. Oh my gosh, it's taken me that long to remember that. Let me go back here. This is what they call fiber. Fibers. Fiber. Wow. Brain doesn't work always. Okay, and as you see, there is some muslin down here. This side is the same as the others, stitched onto coffee dyed paper. There's coffee dyed paper that I've attached it to, and I've stenciled with coffee. This coffee dyed ledger paper, more images, and this is botanical as well on coffee dyed paper, which is stitched all the way around, and it just tucks in nicely. And here a little bit of muslin, some lace, some sari silk, and a button, and Edith Holden page again. Here is plain. I did do a stamp here. This is stenciled coffee, and this is stenciled coffee on coffee dyed paper. And there's this pocket again. I've added an image here, and these are heavy cardstock, by the way. This is an Edith Holden image again, and my coffee dyed paper on the back, and it's stitched all the way around. And more paper to write on. Another one of these little cards with flowers on it, and a coffee dyed paper with a doily, and on the back of this is another botanical image. You've got some lined paper here, on this side we come back to again fabric on coffee dyed paper, that is stitched, and this was folded, and it says, "I will cherish these days." And it's been inked. Something that you can just tuck in here. Here's an Edith Holden image again, paper. And I just, like I say, tuck them in. And because they're slippery, they tend to slide out, so I've added the clip. And both sides have been reinforced with muslin. We're into our last signature. Again, we have Edith Holden. Her images are beautiful. I incorporated this because it has lines, and you can write on that. And this side is also Edith Holden. I've added muslin. I've added an image, muslin that's been gathered here. At the top, here's the tab, and here's a botanical image on lined paper that's been dyed by me and stitched all around, and another little booklet that you can use to write in that's hand-dyed paper. And here it's stamped. This again is Edith Holden, lined paper, a muslin tab, and inked. And it just fits in there. And more paper with muslin sewn across the top for you to write on. A little card with room on the back. And these are climbing roses. Tells you about that. I coffee stained that through a stencil. This is coffee stained as well and stenciled. And this is another one of my machine embroidery images that just lift up, stitched across the top, of course, and a very faint stamp here. Some ledger paper that's been stained. This has also been coffee stained, but I used a stencil and stamped coffee through it right here for a bird. Stenciled, no, coffee dyed. This is a vintage music sheet, and it's been written on. I didn't erase it, it's in pencil. I just left it because I thought it added character. And I've got these tucked in here. Another botanical image, lined paper that's been stained and inked and sewn. And another one of my little envelopes with paper tucked inside. Another printable that I've inked. This one here again. I've used fabric, a little bit of paper, a button, again fabric and a little bit of paper, a flower and a button. This is a botanical image that's been stained and stitched. This is an image that I thought went well in the book from an I Spy snap card game. And just a little emergency ticket that I've tucked in here. We're in the middle of this one. I've added some images on this side and images on this side, and again a postcard inside. Washi tape. I washi taped these sides to strengthen them. And here we have plain, and we have lined paper, inked, and the other half of the music paper. And this is a calla lily card. Tells you all about it. This has fiber at the top, and it's just a document card. This is a botanical again, stitched on coffee dyed lined paper. And this is also a bird up here that I used a stencil to create after dyeing the paper. I thought it needed something. I've added a little bit more through here. Another piece of stained ledger paper. This is Edith Holden again on the corner, and I've added muslin, lace, some fiber, a flower, and a button, and Lily of the Nile card, a botanical image that's been stitched onto coffee paper, coffee stained paper, a plain sheet of cardstock. This has been stenciled with coffee and also coffee dyed, and I did a half flower here through my stencil with coffee. This again is Edith Holden, and it's on lined paper with a muslin top, and it's got a fish hanging on it. And here it's kind of different. I did a kind of a sort of envelope. You can write on that, and it just tucks inside there like that. And here I've stamped on coffee dyed paper, and there is another botanical image. There's lined paper, again with a clip at the top. And here we've got another piece of fabric that's stitched on coffee dyed paper, and this is also stitched on coffee dyed paper. It just tucks in there like that. And then we have Edith Holden again. This is December, and it's got lined paper. And of course the botanical image. And we are at the end, and I put a library pocket here that I've stitched and inked. And the only thing left to do is when I get my stamp, I will be stamping probably in the corner here that it was handmade by me. So that's my book. And I don't know how many pages that was, but it's a lot. It's very big. It's very fat. It's a chunky monkey. That's for sure. So I hope you enjoyed my video. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.